A young man is brought to casualty after a car accident. He is not speaking, his saturation is dropping, his BP is not recordable, and also there is bleeding from his right leg. You are panicked, you are confused and overwhelmed from where to start now. But at that time, you remember a mnemonic called ABCDE. So friends, in today's video, we are going to see what is this ABCDE approach that will be helpful to you during emergency. So friends, let's start the video. So now, what really this ABCDE is? This is a step-by-step guide for a crashing patient. Whenever you face an emergency and the patient is crashing, it is important that you manage the patient such that the emergency or the life-threatening conditions are addressed first. So this ABCD approach will guide you in that, and it is a step-by-step guide for a crashing patient. It ensures that the life-threatening conditions are treated in the order of priority. Only in that case it will be helpful to your patient. It is applicable to any type of emergency, whether that emergency is in the ward, it is in the casualty, or it is even on the road. It is your safety checklist in the chaos. When there is chaos everywhere and you have to manage the patient, you have to simply check in that order of priority whether you have checked A, B, C, D and E. So what is this ABCDE? A stands for airway, B stands for breathing, C stands for circulation, D stands for disability, and E stands for exposure. So friends, now in short, we will see the details of each one of these, that is A, B, C, D and E. Before going into the details of each one of these, I would like to tell you that if you have come for the first time on this channel, then do subscribe this channel for more such clinical videos. And friends, I have also started memberships on my channel. You can check those membership by clicking on the join button. So friends, now let's go into the details. So now the first thing on our checklist is airway. Friends, oxygen is very essential for our survival. And this oxygen enters into our body through the airway. So checking the airway is our first priority. And what is our goal here? The goal is to ensure that the airway is patent and it is protected. Then and then only oxygen will properly enter into the lungs. So this is the anatomy of airway. This is the sagittal section. So this is the nasal cavity. From here air enters. This is the nasopharynx, oropharynx, and then here it enters into the trachea. So this is the anatomy of the airway. Now how to check if the airway is patent or not? If the patient is talking, then the airway is patent. Now look for the signs of obstruction. If there is stridor or gurgling, or if there is complete silence, then you can suspect that the airway may be obstructed. Then what you can do? You can do certain basic maneuvers like head tilt, chin lift. But this head tilt, chin lift you cannot do in trauma where the neck is involved. In that case, you have to do jaw thrust. You can use suction to suck out the secretions that may be present on the airway, and you can use airway adjoints like oropharyngeal airway or nasopharyngeal airway. Then sometimes you may have to go for definitive airways like endotracheal intubation and surgical airway. In this way, you then manage this airway obstruction. Now, after airway, the second thing on the list is breathing. Now, your airway is patent. The oxygen can enter through the airway, but the breathing apparatus has to be in proper form. So, what is our goal here? Our goal is to ensure that there is adequate oxygenation and ventilation. Adequate oxygenation means the oxygen is entering through the lungs into the body, And ventilation means the carbon dioxide is coming out through the lungs out of the body. And here you have to identify and immediately treat the life-threatening respiratory problems. Sometimes there can be very life-threatening conditions, especially in trauma, that you have to manage in emergency. How you will check if the breathing is proper or not? You will see for the chest movements whether the chest movements are proper or not. If the respiratory rate is normal, it is not too low or too high. If there are any abnormal sounds like crepitations, crackles, etc., and you will also check the saturation. So in this way, you will check if the patient's breathing is proper or not. Then how will you manage if there is a problem? Then you have to give high flow oxygen, and sometimes you may have to use a bag mask ventilation. There are certain life-threatening conditions, and as I have initially said, you have to also manage those conditions. They are like tension pneumothorax, asthma, pulmonary edema, like this. So friends, now this is a picture of bag mask ventilation. You can see that the patient is being ventilated with the help of an ambu bag. So in this way, the breathing of patient is managed. Now the third and the important thing on our list is circulation. Now the oxygen has entered through the airway, through the lungs, but your circulatory system should be proper so that this oxygen is carried to the tissues. So what is our goal here? Our goal is to maintain adequate tissue perfusion and oxygen delivery. And you have to also treat certain life-threatening conditions like shock and major bleeding. Bleeding is especially important during trauma. How will you check if the patient's circulation is proper or not? You will look for the pulse. What is the rate of the pulse? Whether the pulse is feeble. You will also check the blood pressure. You will also see the capillary refill time, and you will also see if there is any external bleeding or not. Then how will you manage these conditions? You will immediately secure IV access with two large bore cannulas. You may need certain urgent blood for transfusion or IV fluids, and you will also have to control bleeding. If you can see any external bleeding that is life-threatening to the patient, then you have to control that. Then there are certain life-threatening conditions like, as I have already said, massive hemorrhage or bleeding. There can be cardiac tamponade, anaphylaxis, or certain life-threatening arrhythmias. All these conditions you have to manage under this heading, that is circulation. So friends, now this is a picture of various type of cannulas. What do you mean by large bore cannulas? Large bore cannulas are all those cannulas above 20. So 18 gauge, 16 gauge and 14 gauge. All these are the wide bore cannulas. Preferably we secure 16 or 14 gauge to such large bore cannulas in a patient who is profusely bleeding. So friends, in this way we manage the patient's circulation. Now the fourth thing on our list is disability. What is our goal here? Our goal is to rapidly assess the neurological status and identify the causes of altered consciousness. After we ensure that the oxygen is properly being delivered to all the tissues, then we have to see if the patient's brain is working properly or not. How you will check that? You will check the ABPO. With this scale, you will check the consciousness of the patient. You will check the pupils. You will also measure blood sugar. Friends, simple hypoglycemia can lead to altered consciousness. So never forget to check blood sugar in this disability. And you would also see certain other signs like if there is a seizures or signs of meningitis. So in this way, you will assess the consciousness of the patient. Then what are the causes of altered sensorium or altered consciousness? there can be hypoxia, hypoglycemia, stroke, or raised ICP due to trauma. And how will you manage that? You may have to ventilate the patient. You may have to give glucose to patient if there is hypoglycemia. CT brain is a very important investigation to be done here. You may have to give anticonvulsants if there is seizure, mannitol if there is raised intracranial pressure, and many times you may have to go for the surgery. So friends, in this way patient's unconsciousness is taken care of. So what is this ABPU scale? It is a simple scale to assess patient's consciousness. A stands for awake, means the patient is completely awake, oriented in time, place and person. V means verbal. Patient is not completely oriented but he can speak, that is verbal. Then P for pain. Patient responds only to painful stimulus. The consciousness level is decreasing as we go from A to U. And in U, patient is completely unresponsive. So this is a simple scale to assess patient's consciousness. And this is a picture showing the patient's pupil, unequal pupil. This is a very dangerous sign and you have to immediately manage the cause that is causing this unequal pupil. You can see the size of pupil here is normal and here the pupil is dilated. So this is a very important sign that you have to see under disability. Now the last but very important thing on our checklist is exposure and environment. Now what is our goal here? Our goal is to look for the hidden problems. There may be certain problems that we may have missed and those problems may be giving some clue to the patient's condition, or those problems may be life-threatening. So all those things you have to check here. And you also have to prevent hypothermia. So these are our two goals in this fifth E, that is exposure and environment. So what you will do here, you will undress the patient, maintaining the patient's dignity. You will undress the patient and you will inspect the patient head to toe, front, back, everything you will inspect. And what you will see, you will look for if there are any injuries, if there are any rashes, any burns, any stings or any bites. There may be certain swellings, any bruises, any bleeding that you may have missed, any deformities, or there may be certain medical alert tags that the patient may be wearing. All those things you have to see in this exposure and environment. And important thing you will also see here is the temperature, lighting, if it is proper or not, and important is the safety of the scene. Sometimes you may have to manage the patient on the road. There may be heavy traffic there. So first you have to ensure your safety and patient safety. You have to take patient to certain safe place and then manage patient there. So this is also very important thing that you have to see. If the patient is hypothermic, then you have to use warm blankets and also warm IV fluids. So friends, now what is this? This is a picture of a snake bite. So such important small things you may miss that you have to see here. This is a rash of herpes present on the buttock. Unless you turn the patient, you may not be able to find this. This is a type of medical tag that the patient may be wearing. For example, this is a tag of type 1 diabetes. These tags can give you important clinical clues. Now, certain important points to be kept in mind about ABCDE approach. So, this ABCDE approach is a cycle. It is not a one-time checklist. Fix problems as you find them. If you are on the airway, you find any problem, first fix that and then go to the next thing, that is breathing. Similarly, as you find the problem on certain step, you first fix that problem and then go to the next step. Do not move until the problems at the current step are addressed, and reassess continuously and call for senior help early. For example, now you are going through these steps, and in circulation you see that the patient is bleeding. You check the bleeding, and then you go to disability, exposure, airway, and suddenly you realize that the patient is having arrhythmia. Then you have to again come back to see and manage arrhythmia. In this way, this is a continuous process. It is a cyclical process till the patient is managed. So this ABCDE is a part of primary survey. So whenever a patient is managed in emergency, there is one primary survey and then there is a secondary survey. So all the life-threatening conditions are managed under primary survey and the other conditions are managed in the secondary survey. So this ABCD approach is nothing but a primary survey. So now there are certain exceptions to in what order this ABCDE to be followed. For example, in cardiac resuscitation, the circulation takes priority. There is witnessed arrest in front of you in the ward or in the ICU due to ventricular fibrillation. And if there is a DC machine and you simply give DC shock to the patient, it will save patient's life. So here C comes into priority. In environmental disasters, E comes into priority. For example, there is fire and you have to manage patient there. And if you go and check for airway, breathing, circulation, and all those things, it will be dangerous to your patient and also to your life. So here, first you have to take patient to a safe position and then manage there. So here, E takes the priority. And then if there is seizure due to hypoglycemia, you know that. So here you have to immediately give glucose to the patient and save patient's life. So here D takes the priority. So in this way, you have to be little smart and treat first what kills first. This is the main gist of this ABCDE approach. So in summary, A stands for airway and you have to secure it. B stands for breathing, and here you have to see if the oxygenation and ventilation is proper or not. C stands for circulation, and you have to control bleeding and see if there is proper perfusion of all the tissues. D stands for disability, and here you have to check the consciousness, and important thing that you have to check is the blood glucose. And E stands for exposure, and here you have to search for the hidden dangers and also you have to prevent hypothermia. In emergency conditions, you have to be calm, composed and confident. And this ABCDE approach will give you that confidence during emergency situations. So friends, in this video, we have seen in short what is the ABCDE approach. Each component of this approach deserves a detailed video. So if you want a detailed video on each one of these, then tell me in the comment box. So friends, if you find today's video helpful, then do share with your friends so that it will be helpful for them while managing the emergency situations. See you in the next video. Till then, thank you.